The Senate last week drew a line on what they call the exploitative disposition of state governments towards local government administration in Nigeria, with particular reference to funds constitutionally allocated from the National Treasury. The senators say the time has come for a serious national conversation on how the third tier of government and the one closest to the people can be liberated from the shackles of this unfair relationship, in order to open more windows and growth and development for the nation. Senator Titus Zam represents Benue Northwest Senatorial District. He joins us now to discuss why it has been so difficult to enforce the law on governance at the third tier of government in Nigeria. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon, Senator.
Thank you.
So speaking of the challenges that there are to get some autonomy for local governments, can you speak on why it's so important for them to have that space to dictate exactly how things should be for their district and for their people?
Well, I want to thank you, first of all, for the opportunity that you have availed me to also express my views on the topical issue of local government autonomy, which has been on the front burner of the national discourse in recent time. You will agree that the concern about the general lack of development at our grassroots has informed the debate as to why the local governments council in the country should have their own autonomous space to operate as a substantive tier of government. We will also agree that Nigeria operates a federal system of government consisting of three tiers of government, namely the local government, the state, and the federal. The other two tiers of government have had their own space to operate comfortably. But the third tier, which is the most critical and the closest to the people, has been stifled by the state tier of government. Over time, and if you go into history, the framers of the local government system in the country had envisaged that there is a great need for people at the grassroots to have their own independent tier of government to deal with their peculiar needs. That is why the 1976 reforms led by Dasuki under the then General Obasanjo-led administration created the local government councils ab initio. And the concept of local government administration in the country generally had received the applause of everybody interested in the development of this country. But over time, that great need for the grassroots to be well developed so as to meet the yearnings and aspirations of the people has been denied as a result of interference from the state governments all over the country. So the present debate about the need for local governments to be autonomous from the control of the state has to do with the concern and the observations and the general state of lack of development in the country. That is why everybody is now saying, no, time has come for Nigeria to allow the third tier of government a breathing space so that they too can function effectively like the other two tiers of government. So it is expected that once the local government councils have their own autonomy, then they will be able to function optimally for the benefit of the people at the grassroots. So that's what has informed the debate for local government autonomy in the country at the moment.
Now, thank you very much for giving us, those details. But I'm wondering, before calling for full autonomy, shouldn't we also be asking the anti-corruption agencies in Nigeria, to probe the rot at the local government level as it is currently? Because if corruption continues to thrive, don't you think autonomy will worsen matters?
No, this problem has to be tackled from the basis. Inviting the anti-corruption agencies to deal with the interference in the local government finances will go pari passu with the need for the local government to be statutorily independent. And that means there has to be a proper legal framework determining the status of local government ab initio before you can even examine the interferences that are brought to bear on their operations. So yes, I agree with you that monitoring agencies have a role to play, but there is a need for the laws governing the operations of local government itself to spell out clearly the status of local government. That is the only way that even the monitoring agencies can have a leeway to assess, to monitor, and evaluate the situation in the local government. As things stand now, the local government are legally an appendage of the state governments. So I think we have to deal with this problem from the basis, from the very nature and character of the local government system in the country, before we can look at how their own finances and all of those things are sort of tempered with by the state governments. So there is the need to get this status of local government legally and constitutionally sorted out first.
And even with that trickle-down factor, why is it so difficult to even enforce the laws at that local government level?
Yeah, the problem has to do with the 1999 Constitution as amended. Section 7, subsection 1 of the Constitution actually recognizes the local government. And they said there should be a democratically elected administration at the local government level. So once that council is not democratically elected, then a window is opened for the state governments to now interfere with the finances of the local government. So there is the need to amend the laws. That is why the Senate recently, resolved that the executive arm of government under President Ahmed Bola Tinubu should lead the struggle to liberate the local governments from the stronghold of state governments. So it is a constitutional matter. Section 162 of the Constitution has kind of created a problem about the management of Nigeria local government system through the joint account system created by subsection 6 of the section 162 of the 1999 Constitution. Once such gray areas are sorted out, then the local governments can have a lease of life to enjoy.
Well, like you said, the Senate has asked the president to start advocacy for full local government autonomy. But considering Nigeria's history, yes, I'm wondering what the assurance is that the recommendation or outcomes of a national dialogue on local government autonomy will be implemented.
Well, it's about leadership. It's about credible leadership. It's also about the people-oriented leadership of this country. The present advocacy or concern generally about local government autonomy is a derivative of the fact that a new administration has come on board in this country. A new administration that is manifestly people-oriented. So, given the tendency of the Tinubu administration to address most of the challenges within this country frontally, the President Senate sees a window in that level of determination by the Tinubu administration to see to it that local government autonomy is also pursued by this people-centered administration of President Ahmed Bola Tinubu. So I think your fear about what has been the case in the past should be allayed on the basis of the fact that we have a window in the new administration of Tinubu who is breaking new grounds, who is courageous, and who is able to deal with some of the problems that other administrations in the past were afraid of dealing with.
And we'll see about that implementation as time goes forward. Concerning leadership, we know that we have issues such as godfatherism, cronyism, and other isms apart from corruption within our governance, not only from the bottom, but from the very top. How can this be addressed or even circumvented at the local government level? Is that even possible?
Well, I don't want to go with the textbook conceptions that governments or the Godfather syndrome, that has been part of the Nigerian leadership question will always rear its ugly head because, as I earlier said, it takes leadership, people-oriented leadership. Yes, if in the past, the Godfather syndrome and chronicism that you made reference to had been the problem of this country, the present leadership of the country has given us a lot of hope and promise. And so let us be positive thinkers. Let us believe that a new leadership in this country is possible. Let us also be hopeful that given the vibrancy of the Tinubu administration within this 1 year, something positive can be brought to the table as regards improving on the quality of service delivery in this country, in all sectors of the economy, and at all tiers of governance in this country. So let us be hopeful and positive.
Well, and just, as a follow-up, it is believed, that state governors are not in support of local government autonomy and that they will do all within their power to scuttle this, probably using their state houses of assembly. So I'm wondering, how do we get state governors to be on board, with this idea of local government autonomy?
Leadership. Here again is leadership. Yes, I agree with you that previous efforts to liberate the local governments from the stronghold of the governments have failed. That is why the Senate, in its wisdom, requested the executive arm of government to convene a stakeholders meeting involving the governors and their speakers to a round table so that these issues can be dealt with collectively. Remember also that the ruling party, the All Progressives Party, has majority, in all the states, or in most of the states rather, of the federation. So, using the party platform, and the fact that we have a strong presidency at the moment, we believe that the atmosphere is now conducive for the local government reforms to see the light of day. It's about leadership and commitment. So yes, the governors might try, I say might try, but the overwhelming clamor for local government autonomy at this moment will facilitate the realization of this objective in spite of the foot dragging of other interested parties, including the state governors, who may be enjoying their own present control over the local councils. I want to believe that with a strong presidency like the one led by the President Asiwaju, a lot can be done using the strength of the APC in the country and also the visionary disposition of the president and leadership in the country.
And how would local government autonomy work for example, in the case of state police, which is a topic that is being hotly debated? Who would have the control? Will there be a power struggle? How do you foresee something like that if it is voted that state police is where we will be taking the country forward with?
Well, the local government autonomy issue is not in any way connected with the governor's advocacy for state police. The state police stuff for many of us is ill-timed. The country does not seem to have the social, the economic, and the political capacity to practice state police system. Nigeria, as you know, is a nascent democracy. The institutions of government at many levels are still in their prime. And so we are still in the learning process. And to bring on board the state police system at the time our own institutions of government and even our moral fabric is still not strong enough, may be suicidal in the long run. Remember that this country had practiced the native police authority system before independence. It is the preponderance of certain infractions in the past that led to the cancellation of that idea. I don't think our country has learned enough lessons to try the state police system. You will see a lot of confusions. Rather, I will advise that the community policing system under the control of the Nigerian police, as presently constituted, should be encouraged. Let us not delve into what we will be unable to control and what would eventually consume our security architecture in this country. So, local government autonomy is a different kettle of fish. It has no connect or nexus with the state police system that state governors are advocating for. And I want to tell you, the fact that this is coming from state governors alone gives some concern. How much powers, in addition to what the governors already have, that they still need? When the same governors are complaining that they don't have enough resources to carry out development, they keep seeking for more money from the center. So why are they looking for police again to add to their already overabundant financial requirements? Something must be wrong somewhere. But as I earlier said, that is something that should be pursued with a lot of caution.
Well, very well said. In the meantime, this issue of local government autonomy also brings to mind the argument for a new constitution. Should we continue to amend the 1999 constitution, or should the National Assembly be working on coming up with a new constitution for the country?
Well, the two can be pursued pari passu, but I think amendments are easier to handle, because we already have a formidable document before us known as the 1999 Constitution. If certain areas of the Constitution are found to be weak, we can only strengthen them. Going all over to rewrite a new Constitution at this time may be too expensive a venture to go into. It might even complicate our already fragile federal system. So it is safer and more economical to continue to amend the one we already have on the table than discarding it and starting all over again, because that might lead to certain uncontrollable developments that might even consume this fragile federal system we are practicing at the moment. I would go for amendment rather than rewriting. You know the kind of threats that this country is facing from several aggrieved parties, some genuine, some born out of selfishness. So for now, it's better to control what we have and what we are capable of managing than going to rewrite a new constitution entirely. Nigeria is not alone in the management of their internal dynamics. Many other countries, including USA, have had several amendments until they got to what may be now referred to as standard constitution. So Nigeria is still in the learning process, but sooner or later we'll be able to stabilize and move forward steadily.
And Senator Zam, you earlier spoke about our strong moral character, or moral fiber within the country somewhat lacking. Does it not concern you, especially
Yes.
if there is local government autonomy, that it would create an unnecessary situation where more divisions are built within our national fiber, and it might create...
No, already in the Nigerian Constitution has recognized 774 local government councils in the country. They are already in existence. Indeed, the reference I made to our weak moral fabric, also answers the question of why do we have a weak local government system? If we had a strong moral fabric, then people should have known the limit that they have in relating to other lower tiers of government. So the tendency of state governments to interfere with the running of local governments is rather evidence to the fact that our moral fabric is still weak. I don't think that's the case in developed democracies and developed economies. The municipal councils in the UK, the mayoral system in UK and such other, subnational, tiers of government are allowed to operate freely because those countries have a strong moral fabric that guides the workings of all the tiers of government out there, which is lacking in our own situation. So we need to have a strong local government. That is different from having a police system, a state police system that is open to abuse.
Senator Zam, what I was...
manipulation from our state operators.
What I was referring to, especially since you are referencing Western nations and the way they operate. Within our country, we have a complex ethnic fiber. We have quite interesting ethnic divisions. I'm wondering if this could spark up more of those issues more than help in terms of creating more divides and things not being as effective as they should be, seeing as there would be ethnic, maybe even religious tones to it, seeing with the way the country conducts itself. Your opinion?
No. Listen, we already have in place 774 local councils in this country, which are supposed to be independent, which are supposed to be strong, which are supposed to be viable, which are supposed to be vibrant, which are supposed to be capable of responding to the needs of the people at the grassroots. So that is already done. Indeed, the creation of this number of local government councils in the country is in response to the need of specific social groups in the country to have their own areas of operation. So the quest for us to have a strong local government system is a reaction to the need for us to have this grassroots level-based autonomy so that such interests can be contained, can be controlled and channeled towards one direction in order to have a seamless relationship between the local communities and the central governments.
Now, Senator Zam, just before we let you
go... So there's no conflict there.
Okay, so just before we let you go, some analysts, are worried that local government autonomy may give rise to certain issues like conflicting, overlapping or excessive regulation, and also the issue of excessive taxation. How do you suggest we deal with this if indeed autonomy is achieved?
There is no problem of overlap of functions. People are just being selfish. The Constitution has designed roles and functions of local government councils which are clear and which are practicable. I have been a two-time local government chairman myself, and I know what the workings of local government system are. There is no role conflict whatsoever between a substantive local government system, that of the state. The local government council have their own functions clearly spelled out. Collection of tolls, clearing of paths, dealing with bylaws that cannot conflict with the laws of the state or the center. So if people are prepared to maintain their lane, without overambitiously conflicting with the other lower tiers of government, there is no conflict whatsoever in terms of role differentiation. There's none whatsoever. The local government council have their own rules clearly spelled out even by the constitution. They have their bylaws. I know that the constitution says any law that conflicts with the constitution is null and void to the extent of the inconsistency. So I don't see any conflict whatsoever. If everybody maintain their lane, if state government stop firing the local government resources, why is the president of the country, not preferring the state government allocations? We have what is like state local government joint account through FAC. There is a FAC at the center here, where state governments and federal governments sit together and share what is available in the distributable pool. Why is the case of local government and state government different? Somebody along the line is being selfish. So the state government should be advised to stop showing interest in the finances of local government, the same way the federal government does not look into their finances.
District Senator Titus Zam, it has been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you for joining us today on Newsday.